Woo! Let's
What's
go.
up, everybody? Welcome to the set of the Business Temple podcast. This is your co host, Super Alex.
And your co-host Super Ray, and ready for the day. I hope you are, Super Alex. How's it
Yes,
going?
sir. All good, man. It's been crazy week at work. Been looking forward to doing TBT all week. Like you said earlier, before we started the show, we need that TBT energy. And
Oh
that's what
yeah.
we're going to give all y'all today. Actually, it's particularly special episode today. We are doing the same episode that we did last week, exposing the coaching scams part 2. This is our first time actually doing
Mhm.
a little bit of a part 2 or maybe a little bit of a mini series here in the podcast. So we're trying something new here.
Yeah, a little mini series. I think it's important because we went a little long last time. We did about 40 something minutes because it's a topic that a lot of people are interested in knowing about. They want to know if they are getting scammed when they finding a coach, and if you are a coach, how to avoid some of those different uh, different ways of falling into that moment where you're not even providing a service for your clients. So thinking of coaching in a way where it's broader and selfless. It's not just about money, and it's about the person that's in front of you, the person that you're trying to help. And I'm glad we're doing a part 2 because we get to dive deeper into
Yes,
race and things like
diversity, all that.
diversity and genders, all types of good stuff. Stick around, we'll get that started. But I want to bring up the energy and remind everybody to what do we remind everybody to do every single time?
Smash that subscribe button, bitch.
Woo!
Slap that like button. Get that bell.
Yeah. So if you like what we do, just make sure you hit the subscribe button, subscribe to us, the Business Temple, and share with the world, share with everyone. And yeah, let's kick things off.
Let's go, man. There's just so much to talk about for for this episode, and I feel like we will justify everything by doing this part 2. I know you still had a lot more to say, Super Ray. After the part 1, I did as well, and yeah, let's get into it now. What last episode? I know we exposed some scams that included price hikes when it comes to coaching. We also um, expose some the way that coaches a one for all type of program, and we just
Yeah,
talked about a lot of
generalization.
things, you know
Yeah,
and
so
this
make sure
this
to
time
check that
around.
out before you jump onto
Yes.
this one because you might get a little lost in what we're discussing here because we already touched on the generalization and the main points. We're going to get a
Hmm.
little bit more into the details, into the weeds of things today in this episode. So if you haven't checked it out, check out part 1 before you check out this one. And let's kick this off. Let's kick this off, Alex.
Let's do it. Let's do it.
Yeah.
So I know we want to. I know when as we were building this episode, we wanted to further delve into the diversity of it. Now
Mhm.
I know that's something that you spearheaded, Ray. We want to hear your thoughts, enlighten us, and why is diversity very important when it comes to the coaching industry? And currently, what is going on in the coaching industry? Is there no diversity? Is it made for a certain type of race? Where are we at with that?
Well, according to research right now, about 66% of people that are in this coaching industry are white, and the rest are in
66%.
minority and Hispanic. So less than 10% of Hispanics make up coaching, and less than 8% of Black people make up this coaching ecosystem. So when you think about diversity and this coaching sphere, you want to understand that how important diversity is because everybody needs a coach. Everybody needs somebody to help them out. Nobody stands in the forward alone. So we stand on the shoulders of great people, and for you not to be represented it's really eye-opening. It's really, and a lot of companies are starting to realize that yes, we need more diversity and diverse coaches in order to grow this business because we are in this I hate to use a phrase, we are in this together. We are here to elevate one another, to improve ourselves in order to make this world a better place. So when it comes to diversity, man, I pulled a bunch of other statistics too. It even claims that there is a discriminatory element for people that are men, for men. If you people that identify as men, and with women making up about 70% of the coaches globally and 74% here in North America. So women tend to make up the majority of the coaches over men and life coaches. And this is according to the ICF, which we spoke to. This poll was done in 2020. So they polled all their coaches and noticed that 70% of their coaches are women.
That's very, very interesting to know. You know, when I was real deep in the coaching industry back when I was still operating in Manila, Philippines, a statistic that I had was I think it was 73% of my clientele identify as women, particularly women who are looking to get promoted or women looking to improve their presentation skills, because at work, the corporate culture in the Philippines, it can be a little sexist. You know, we're a very, what's the word I'm looking, very patriarchal country. You know, and so people who identify as women have to go out of their way, actually outside of their company, to look for other means of personal development. Now, I'm not entirely sure, but it got me curious as to exactly what is the percentage between people identifying as men, people identify as women, our coaches in Manila. I actually had not thought of that, but it's good that you bring it up now here, because that's important to bring to the awareness of people.
And why do you think that is? I know you mentioned the reason why in Manila, Philippines, it would be because of such a patriarchal society, and women need to find an outside resource in order to develop themselves. And I feel that kind of area is kind of fulfilled, where you can find a coach, a female coach, and do so easily if you are a female. But when it comes to men, there aren't really many male coaches that are coaching other men, for example. Is it also had to do with something in terms of patriarchy? That men don't like to listen to people, that we don't like to listen to coaches, or something like that?
I would say,
let me know your thoughts.
Now, I'm talking particularly in Manila. Maybe you can give like a comparison contrast as to your experience here in the United States. So the coaching is still pretty much a taboo over there, man. It's when you tell someone that, hey, I'm working with a coach, generally it's not looked high upon, generally, because they would think, hey, something's wrong with you, or they would think, you know what, you're not good enough. It's
like the T word, therapy.
Right, exactly. No, exactly.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, that's just light bulb in my head, because it being a patriarchal society, I guess that involves being fucking macho and all that stuff. You know what I mean?
Like,
you can't be seeing a therapist or a coach, you know? And so that the barrier to entry in that part of your self-development is just so difficult to pierce because of the culture. And so I would not say there's diversity and inclusion even in that regard.
Yeah, and now that I think about it, well, it does come, that stems from the ego, from someone's ego to not ask for help. And I know before I started this journey of like self-awareness, consciousness, and being more in tune with not only myself but the world around me, and becoming a coach and taking a bunch of classes, taking a bunch of diversity training, diversity sensitivity training, all sorts of things to make me less biased and remove myself from the equation of my preconceived notions of somebody's, let's say, race or type, whichever they identify as. And if it wasn't for that, I wouldn't be the person I am today. I feel like I'm a much more holistic person, but that doesn't mean I know everything. There is still so much for me to learn. But when it comes to like your stereotypical male, and how I grew up and how I was brought up is that you don't ask for help. You figure it out on your own.
Exactly.
You typically do everything that you can to provide for your family, and nobody gives a fuck about your feelings. Nobody cares
Yeah,
about what a
you got to
man is
keep your
going
mouth
through.
shut. I
Keep
mean,
your Yeah, keep your mouth shut and
strong and
keep walking,
silent.
keep moving. Yeah, and for someone to come out and ask for help and or seek a coach is seen as a sign of weakness, especially from the societal notion. And it's crazy that you bring up the Philippines, it being more
Hmm.
patriarchal and similar to the Dominican Republic too. It's like we don't ask for help.
Really,
We don't ask for coaches. We don't ask for therapy. And if you say you have a
exactly.
coach, if you say you're doing therapy, you're looked
You look
at
down upon.
as, oh, you can't figure that out on your own. You need somebody else. You're just looked down upon.
Exactly.
It's
And so
mind boggling.
it's
Anything
just
you want
difficult.
to add anything there?
Yeah, it's just difficult for men. I particularly experienced a couple of things as well. Wherein when I went out of my way to look for mentors in public speaking, to look for coaches when it comes to teaching me how to become a coach. Generally, what people would say is like, well, "Why would you want to become that? What do coaches
Hmm.
do? How much money do coaches make? You know what I mean? the, the interest is not there, and for me to like put myself in a position where I want to develop myself, that means I have to get vulnerable first, and that just gives me
Hmm.
cognitive dissonance, man. Like, why do I need to put myself in a position where, hey, you know what, I now have to be open to criticism and this and that because I want to look for a coach to develop me. I mentioned a couple of times in this episode, I did take personality development classes, and it was such a weird thing for me to share. I actually never used to share that back over in the Philippines because it's just something that people would think that, oh, okay, this guy took this class and that class to develop his personality, his character, and then he wants to become a coach. Like, what is a what is that? We don't agree with that.
Is
I
there
would
like
say the coaching industry in the Philippines is still a little, it's
is
not
there like a
mature enough
stubbornness
yet.
to it, or what do you think it might be? Because I mean, I would say, yeah, the difference is like it's still inherent whether you're in the Philippines or in
Mm-hmm.
America. No matter where you go, no matter what you do, there's still this part of our brain that's very primitive, and it's just
I
activated
like that.
whether you like it or not. It's that innate feeling that you have that really just kicks in when it comes to certain environments. And in that environment, this is how it's taught. You're not supposed to find a coach, you're not supposed to find therapy, you're supposed to figure it out on your own. In America, we're a little bit more accepting and becoming more accepting of the fact that, hey, men have feelings. We're not just paint on the wall or a decoration like furniture that doesn't that we just we don't have anything. We're a blank slate. No, men have emotions, men have feelings, men go through similar experiences, and I feel like we don't have those outlets to just open up. I
Hmm.
appreciate and I love the fact that we have the business temple in order to share things that we have learned and we have experienced and help other people. And I know that I've shared a lot of things on here. I've shared a lot of things
Same, bro.
globally that are out there that quite I think it's personal that many people would think, okay, why would you share something like that? But the thing is, it's freeing, it's liberating. I don't care.
That's right.
It's such a freeing experience to be yourself and to love yourself and to be accepting of who you are. And until
Woo.
more and more people start learning that, and more people start appreciating that fact, they're going to see themselves in a different light. And I wrote something down here is like one of the major reasons why people struggle with self-esteem issues, with self-worth, is because the way that they're portrayed and the way that they're treated out in
Hmm.
the real world. If you're constantly portrayed in the movies as the stereotypical drug dealer, the slave, the person that is always the secondhand, the one that dies first in all the scary movies. You're gonna constantly have those stereotypes ingrained in your brain,
You'll
and this is
develop a
what you're gonna,
bias.
and this is good, and develop your bias, and this is what you're gonna think of yourself. But if you're constantly portrayed as a hero, as most white people are in every single movie,
Mm-hmm.
you're going to think of yourself as a hero. You're going to think of yourself of having more worth than everybody else because, hey, that I am the hero of this story. I am the hero of everybody's story. And that's what the environment kind of does. It reshapes the way we think of ourselves. Kids don't have, they're not racist. Kids don't have these biases. You're not born
That's taught.
with biases. This is taught
Yeah.
from an early age. And in the Philippines, this is how you're taught. This is how men and are supposed to behave, how boys are supposed to behave. They're supposed to wear blue, girls are supposed to wear pink. And that's it. That's the world.
Pretty much. And that's why it's so important. I believe, highly believe that it's absolutely necessary right now. If you're gonna go out there, you're trying to get into the coaching industry, you're a new coach, or even if you're a veteran out there in the industry, it's important to have that DEI training for unconscious bias, for you to bring awareness of whatever those unconscious biases are. Because just like what Ray and I had just explained, there are so many factors working behind the scenes, factors beyond people's control, especially the thing that Ray mentioned, just your environment, how you grew up. These things will shape the way you look at yourself, the way you look at the world. And so once a coach has that type of training for unconscious bias, diversity, you can actually help yourself and help your client to identify more. You synergize more with each other. The commitment is there because you're aware of your biases and you're not acting on it. And also the diversity is just you just welcome everyone with open arms.
Mm-hmm.
It's very, very important. Now, I know you mentioned, I think it was last week or probably might have been one of the times we were talking before set, the coaching industry right now, you mentioned particularly is that it's made for white people. So how does that affect minority? How does that affect you and I? How does that affect you when you go to a coaching program?
Because I'm calling it how it is, and I'm saying how it is, and that's what we're here for, and this is what our viewers are here. My question to you and my question to the audience is, if you are looking for a coach, or let's say for even, yes, if you're looking for a coach, would you prefer someone that looks like you, or would you prefer someone that doesn't look like you? That is my question. And there's no if, ands, or buts. I'm not saying there's any nuances, but if you were to go into a situation where you're looking for a coach, what would you prefer, Alex?
I prefer someone who looks like me.
I'm gonna say it's two. I would like somebody that looks like me, and the reason behind that is that the representation matters. Someone that looks like you and is your coach, hopefully they're in a position where you aspire to be to. That is you looking at some, you're looking up to someone who you will aspire to be. And if that person looks like you, it's tremendously helpful in the way that things that the work shapes out. I'm not saying that it has to be 100% connection, because there are people that have coaches, different diversity, different backgrounds, right, different genders. It's more so that there just doesn't exist. There's not a lot of Black, Hispanic coaches and or Filipino coaches out there that generally are doing this work to help other people, because hey, it's just insane to me, because we need more diversity in coaching, plain and simple. I'm just going to say that, just simply because we need people that look like us helping the next generation, helping guide the next generation. If not, they will turn to idiots like Andrew Tate, or idiots to people that they can't really relate to, and then say, hey, that's my coach. That's going to be the guy that I look up to. No, you want to look. One of the most profound things that happened in America was when Obama became president.
Yes.
Little kids around the world, Black kids, can say, hey, I can be president too. And representation matters because of that very reason. And when you're being coached by someone that looks like you and represents you in every way, and like every single day that they're walking on the street, it's a powerful thing. I'm i'm not saying just look for your preferred coach. I'm not saying that, because trust me, the really good ones are rare and few and far between,
Yep.
and very expensive. They charge a lot of money, because I've tried to find a coach that looks like me,
Yep.
but it's very hard. And it's just, I mean, if you do find one, take advantage, learn. I mean, my first coach, my first coach was Che. Che was from I
Uh-huh.
met him at iProspect, and he's one of the most incredible people in the world. And he taught me the ins and out of how to be better in the corporate environment. And without him, I kid you not, I don't think I would have been able to survive the political uh, environment of marketing and being in the office if it wasn't for him. So, and it mattered because he told me that he went through those experiences, and you typically do want someone that goes through similar experiences, because now you understand me.
Exactly. That's what I wanted to point out as well, as you were talking about that, bro. It's just representation matters, because you will then have similar experience to your clientele. I'll tell you a story. I think it was last month or the other month, I, for the first time in my life, took up therapy. And I believe I went to a site called BetterHelp, and
Mhm.
I was looking for a therapist there, and they just had a huge selection, which I was happy about. And the thing that really satisfied me was there were Filipino therapists.
Wow.
And the reason why I was looking for a Filipino therapist is because I grew up in a particular way, you know, and I grew up having lived in New York for 15 years, and having lived in Manila for another, what, 17 years. Now here in California and moving back to New York again. And so there's a boiling pot of cultures and different environments going on and stuff going on there. And just being able to find a particular coach who can help address that really meant the world to me. I felt like we were represented very well in at betterhelp.com. And the results from
Not
that therapy
sponsored, by the way,
session.
but if they do want to sponsor.
No, not sponsored, but the results for that was that, hey, you know what, I could talk to someone who can empathize with me, who actually knew what I was going through, knows what's going on in the Philippines, knows what's going on here. And so it just made me want to commit to the action plan more. I'm not just saying like, hey, I'm being coached by this white guy, and he's telling me what to do, or telling me what to say, and this and that. But then the problems that he has had, the training that he has had, doesn't really align with what I've grown up with my experience and all that. And so it's just, there would be a huge disconnect then in the coaching and the advice that you would dispense, simply because you don't understand, like really truly understand. And so I would say, I would say even therapists, I'm sure they do the diversity training, unconscious bias training as well. I'm sure they do. And coaches as well. If, like I said, if you're going to be a coach or a veteran coach out there, if you've not taken this type of training before, it's very, very important to make time for it, go out of your way for it, because that is where the world is leading to now.
Mhm.
There's so much importance into the diversity training and unconscious bias. What I actually did not research though is where can we recommend people take this training?
Oof. I took the training via uh, this company. Well, my company provides that training, and we do it every year. And I
There
think
you
it's
go.
important. I think that they update it every single year to be more inclusive and understanding of everything else. It's like one of the biggest parts where I took away that they did a huge leap forward is when addressing someone by their pronouns, using they, them, he,
Mm,
him, she, hers, and then understanding what pronouns are and what types of pronouns there are, and then and knowing that yes, if someone asks you to refer to them as their pronoun, this is you should
Right.
abide by what they would like to be referred to, and things like that. So it's very important. It's very good to understand, because you want to create a culture of inclusivity. You want to create a culture that's uh, as progressive for growth. I mean, some of the statistics here I looked up is that uh, like 51% of companies with a strong coaching culture have a higher revenue than others, and I found that very interesting. And people,
Nice.
companies that prioritize individual, well, not individualism, but like prioritize uh, diversity and inclusion, they have higher productivity from the employees, especially minority employees, because they feel represented. They feel like the company understands them and is listening to them. uh, it's so many things. I do have a question for you, Alex. I just kind of came
Shoot.
up to me. Given that the odds are fairly not great when in terms we have, when we talk about business, we always talk about if there's a need and a business owner is able to fulfill that need. So
Hmm.
let's say I'm a coach, then there's profit there. So if there are men out there that still have this like mentality that they don't need coaches, they don't need therapy, they
Right.
don't. So our market pool just kind of shrinks. You know, that it just, there's not many men out there seeking help. There's not many men out there that are looking for coaches, especially Hispanic men or Filipino men or men in general. So when you think about the the job pool, because they say usually the job pool is representative of the demand that there is for
Yeah.
that particular work. Do you think that our area of expertise, our coaching and our specific place is ever going to grow? I mean, when I looked at the percentage of growth of Hispanic since 2010, it's only grown about 2 or 3%. And
Really.
when you think about that number and you think about your clientele and the people that you might relate to the most, they're just not there. So,
Hmm.
Alex, I want to hear your side of the story. Like, what do you now understanding and knowing this? It's very difficult to get clients. You already know already, but it doesn't seem to be that hard for some of my female counterparts that happen to be white. I'm gonna be
Right.
brutally honest.
Right.
In the industry, it's like my female counterpart that's white could barely have time for herself for how many bookings she gets. Myself, I mean, it does take more work. It takes more screening, and it's very difficult. But Alex, what's your take?
Classic adage here, man. You a minority, you gotta work harder. You know, and being brutally
Oh,
honest as well, man. I've always thought about it that way. I'm very accepting of the way of the world. You know what I mean? And I think when it comes to reaching out to our fellow Hispanics or fellow Filipino people out there, making sure that they become more open to the practice that we have come to love, to the practice that we use to help other people. I think it's very important to consider your branding as well. Consider what messages you're putting out there. Consider what how geared your social media is to your particular clientele.
mhm,
And there's going to be a lot more things I believe that you and I would have to do compared to what you
mhm,
mentioned earlier about our white
mhm.
women counterparts. And that just is, you know what I mean? That just is. Now, I think what a question here that you may have posed earlier is that how do we get particular clients, particularly men, to be more open?
Mhm.
I think that's a more difficult question.
I usually try to stress now more so than ever and learn that this is how men react. And the thing is that if it's a tomorrow's problem, they're not going to care. You
Mhm.
need to make it an
It's a tomorrow
urgency.
problem.
Yeah, you need to make it an urgency. You got, especially when I talk about public speaking, I
Mhm.
talk about it in a way that this is life or death, because it is true. This is life or death. In my mind, this is life or death. If you're a terrible public speaker, you're not going to go far. If you don't know how to communicate with
Agree.
with another person or in a room, or if you don't know the how to talk to people in general, you're not going to go far in life. And if you decide to continue on this route where you don't make this an emphasis in your life, to make it something that you prepare for, that you practice, that you constantly try to get better at, knowing that you're bad at it, I think you're doing yourself a disservice. You're setting yourself up for failure. And if you don't take some sort of coaching, you don't take public speaking or have a coach, you're really telling yourself, I don't care about myself. You're really just saying, hey, I'm not important enough to be cared about. I'm not important enough to like share or anything. Men have a lot to say. Men have, and I'm saying this from a point of view. I'm not just saying that there's probably gonna be females and be like, men are assholes, men are this and no. But look, men have value. They are important. You are important. And I'm going on a tangent here, but it's both men and women. Just learning how to speak, learning how to be a better communicator, honestly, is a great equalizer when it comes to negotiations, when it comes to relationships, when it comes to work, when it comes to your making social connections with friends and everything and in between. So I urge everyone, find a coach. I urge everybody, take some training, some courses, public speaking, or just being aware of it now gives you zero excuse. It doesn't have to be Alex or myself. Honestly, it doesn't even, like, we did speak a lot about diversity and finding a coach that looks like you. Just find a fucking coach. Find someone that can help you.
Boom.
This is not a joke. This is your life. You want to leave a better life or a legacy. If you do want to have kids, you want to leave a better life or a legacy. This is how you leave your legacy. This is how you leave your life.
That's right. That's right. Amen, man. You freaking brought us to church. I absolutely agree with that. You know, it's such a game changer out there if you've got a good coach. Yeah. Such a game changer. And I think the importance as well of what Super Ray is trying to say here is that, especially when it comes to public speaking coaching, communications coaching, just being able to speak up for yourself or being able to express particular emotions that you're not comfortable expressing, especially, you know, as a man, you know, it's very, very important to be able to get that, you know, get that knowledge and then be able to go out there in the world, navigate it in such a way, and then be able to speak up for yourself.
Yeah.
It's very, very important. Because again, you know, in the Philippines, confrontation, speaking up, that's something that we're not used to.
You bottle it up and then you find another bottle to go dive into.
Yeah.
You
That's inception shit, man.
Bottle to dive into.
Oh man, but it exactly works like that for some people, you know, and I'm as convicted as you telling people this, our audience out there. Find a coach. If you can find somebody to work with, find somebody to work with, you know, and if you don't know where to be, you don't have to know how to begin. You know, you could, a lot of coaches out there, they do discovery calls, you know, they do calls wherein they help determine exactly what your needs are. They do those calls particularly as well include not only what you need, but where you are in your position in life, and then some things that you can do to elevate yourself if that's what you want to do, you know. And the thing is, if you got big goals, if you got big dreams, and you know you want to do big fucking things in life, then I guarantee you're not going to be able to do that alone. Nobody has. A lot of people out there, they're going to say, hey, I'm a self-made this, self-made that. Those fuckers are bitches, man. Like there's no self-made person out there. Those people actually have a lot of other people supporting them from behind the scenes who are, you know, helping to elevate them. And so self-made, that's just a marketing thing, you know. But then don't fall into that. Yeah. You do need a coach. You do need your circle of champions, your friends, family members. If you guys are okay, all these people you need to achieve whatever your biggest goals are. And like I said, coaching is a game changer, you know. And it's I would you agree, Ray? Last question for the show. Would you agree that it's a great time to go into coaching right now? Not go as a client, not as a coach. Would you
I
agree that it's a great time to go into
100%
it right now?
agree because I had a conversation with someone I mentor, and they told me how in her job they allocate money for her to find a coach or training, and it rarely gets used up. So there are
Hmm.
companies that provide you with stipends for you to find a coach, use it.
There you
And
go.
the thing is, what's crazy though, in her situation, her manager actually stopped her from using it, disapproved it. And this is my
Okay.
notion about it is that you need to understand there are people out there that are actively trying to stop you from learning. They're actively trying to make sure that you stay where you are, because where you are is perfectly fine for those people that are at the top. For those people, it's a great experience that you are content, happy where you are, and nothing changes. If you start talking about wanting a coach, if you start talking about, like in the slave times, we say start talking about reading. If you want to
Hmm.
start reading,
Hmm.
no, you can't read. You don't want to go out in the world. It's a scary place. If you start listening to those people, you're never gonna you're never gonna live a full life. You're just gonna stay stuck in that bubble of yours. You need a coach. Get a coach. Don't let anybody stop you or tell you otherwise. Don't tell you that the grass is not greener on the other side. Go for it. Just take the leap, get out of that comfort zone, because that's what it is a lot for a lot of men and a lot of people is stepping out of your comfort zone and asking for help and asking for a coach. And that's something that we need to get rid of. We need to get rid of that kind of mentality.
Agree. Agree. And I would say to our audience right now, you've taken the first step by listening to the Business Temple. You know, there's just so many things that we talk about here, especially when it comes to the union of ancient philosophy, modern business. Like I said earlier, we try to mix it up, try something new. Right now, this is our first time doing the part two. And so very, very important if y'all want to get into the coaching business as a coach or as a client of a coach, make sure to watch the first episode as well. We just did that episode last week. And this episode, I hope we have equipped you enough to be able to identify and avoid whatever coaching scams are there. Find yourself a right coach. Find yourself a good coach, the right coach for you. And I hope I hope you're able to find that someone, because as Ray and I have kept saying the entire episode, it's a game changer, and we are so convicted with saying that because it has changed and shaped our lives. And the spectrum is full for us too, because in turn we shape and help bring about change in the lives of others, and that's such a powerful thing to behold. And that's something that's a power that I feel like everyone once experienced, you can never go back. You know, you will always be wanting to elevate yourself, wanting to elevate others. And I think that's what, at the end of the day, that's what these last two episodes have been about, exposing these fucking coaching scams so that we can continue to elevate other people, because coaching, at the end of the day, it is a business, and some people will definitely try to fucking screw you, you know. And so watch the episodes and take down some notes, identify what these coaching scams are, learn how to look for them, avoid them, and then find the right coach for you. Change your life. Ow!
You said it better myself, Alex. Thank you. Well, is that time? Let's play them out.
Yes,
Woo!
sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Hope y'all had an awesome, awesome weekend. And make sure, once again, to subscribe to our socials. We're on Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn at The Business Temple. Subscribe to our YouTube channel, because we are here every single weekend. I'm talking about every single weekend. No excuses.
No
Every
break.
single Saturday, 9 a.m. PT, 12 p.m. ET. Lots of exciting things coming up. Great to talk to you today, Super Ray. That was very enlightening.
Thank you to you too, Super Alex. You have been amazing. And thank you to everyone that's been watching. And we'll see you next time. Peace.
Peace.